I am so excited to be talking to Titania Jordan. She is the Chief Parent Officer of Bark Technologies, and we are going to deep dive into a lot of stuff about online safety, parental controls when it comes to social media, and what exactly Bark can help us with. And I feel like my camera looks like it's tilted, so maybe I'll like try to correct.
You've got it perfect. I've got like all these contraptions that can hold an iPhone.
Oops.
Light situation over here, and it's just it's an issue. So whatever you're doing is working.
Okay, good. Well, we're losing you just a little bit, so we'll jump right into it because I know we have a lot of things to talk about. Okay, so first of all, let's start off with like the easiest question. What is Bark, and why is it going to be helpful for us as parents?
Sure. So thumbs up if I'm coming in clearly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Great, because that's the first thing that we all need. It's just a clear connection.
Yes.
So thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Thank you for spending your time with us. Bark is technology that keeps children safer online and in real life. It is an app that you can download. Anybody right now watching will forgive you if you stop watching. Go to the App Store, download Bark, but come back and sign up for a free trial. It's a free 7-day trial. And it will help you monitor your children's Instagram, any social media, text messages, email, browsing in some cases. It's pretty incredible what it can monitor. What's even more incredible is the alerts that you'll get, things that you didn't even realize were happening. You're like, I didn't know about that until I was 14. Well, now it's like 10. So if your children have access to the internet, to social media, to smartphones, you need Bark. Bark can help.
So let's talk about how exactly Bark monitors, because there's sort of some people might feel apprehensive about that and think, oh, is it like Big Brother? Are they going to be constantly watching? What exactly does that mean?
Absolutely, yeah. So full disclosure, Bark was launched by parents for parents. So we use Bark with our own kids, and we wouldn't if it were creepy or weird. I have a 12-and-a-half-year-old son who actually just got Instagram. We can talk about that in a minute. So yes, we use it for our own kids. And it's not like there's a team of a bunch of people just looking through all your kids' stuff. We're using machine learning algorithms, artificial intelligence to connect to accounts that you've already given, let's say, your smartphone access to. And then our algorithm is going to scan for dangers. When the algorithm, not a human, finds an issue, then it's going to send a portion of it to you as the parent or caregiver and tell you what happened, where it happened, and what do you do. So I'm not going to get every single text that came into my son's phone over the past few days, but I am going to get a snapshot of a snippet if somebody called somebody else something that we deem profanity, or if there is cyberbullying or hate speech or sexual content or mental health issues. And so that's where Bark comes in to honestly help save lives. We've escalated over 285,000 severe self-harm alerts and issues, and this is for kids. So it's heartbreaking, but you know, when you are empowered, you can know better and do better.
Wow. I would love to know your personal story with online safety, and why is this something that is important to you as a parent?
Okay, good question. Thank you for asking. Am I still coming through clearly?
Yeah, you're great. Yeah, everything's all evened out now.
Good. Yeah, it's funny. Our offices are at the Atlanta Tech Village, and when people are fighting for bandwidth, it can be really frustrating. Sure. So anyway, yes, I'm Titania Jordan. I live in Atlanta, mom of a 12-year-old. I have served my entire career at the intersection of parenting and tech. I started in traditional media, actually at the local radio station, which quickly shifted into social media. And then I had my son and had really bad postpartum depression and was kind of just stuck at home thinking, what am I going to do? And everybody's like living their best lives on Facebook at the time. This was 2009. how do I get back out in the world and do something impactful? Because honestly, like there's more to life than just breastfeeding and crying. Like that's there's got to be. And so I started a social media marketing agency, just helping part-time while I stayed home with my son. That grew and grew and grew until eventually I was working full-time again in the tech space in Atlanta, which I didn't even think could be a thing. I thought you had to be in Silicon Valley to be able to do this, but no, you can do this in Atlanta. And you can do this as a woman who doesn't have a computer science degree. I'm really good at marketing, and that's what I needed to do. So I'm paraphrasing a lot here. I'm like making a really long story condensed, but basically, mom who loves tech, who is a social media nerd herself, who
Right.
also has very direct experience with mental health issues herself, now has a child, sees what tech and social media can do to kids, the dangers that present themselves. I'm also a sexual abuse survivor, a child sexual abuse survivor. So adding the internet to that dynamic is also something all parents need to be aware of. So, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There are a lot of reasons why and how I got into this, but it's truly a mission. It is a mission to educate and empower families and help protect children both in real life and online.
Okay. Thank you, first of all, for sharing that. I know that's not always an easy thing to talk about, so thank you for sharing that. And I think it's also, everything you said is a great point about keeping our kids safe online, trying to figure out ways we can do that. And there are so many dangers out there. I don't want this whole conversation to be about the scary stuff that's out there.
Right.
The last thing we want to do, and I feel like what happens a lot in the media, is that parents are already scared. We're already scared that, one, we're messing something up with our kids. They're going to grow up to need therapy and resent us for something we did. We're afraid of having them, get online, go to the store, like whatever. We already kind of have this climate of fear a little bit. So I want to talk about the ways that Bark is empowering parents to sort of take control in this digital age and in this digital situation. Before we move on, I want to just acknowledge here that Christina said, I put Bark's website info in my book, Thriving in a Digital World. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Les says, that's so cool. And Sharita says, yes, true. And Yael says, thank you for sharing. So thank you guys. We see your comments and we appreciate you commenting. Sharita says, I'm from Delaware. I've been receiving any necessary alerts from Bark already. That's great. That's wonderful. So let's talk about how Bark is empowering parents to take control of their kids' online activity and social media. I have to say, for me personally, I absolutely love the blog. I've been finding just an incredible amount of information, and it's a great resource. I'm also a big nerd, and I love reading that stuff. I'm like, that makes me feel empowered. I also have the app up here on our iPad. I should say that my daughter doesn't have a cell phone. She's 8 years old. We don't allow her to have her own cell phone yet. We don't think she's old enough. We don't think she needs it. She's the only kid in her third grade class that does not have a phone. Wow. Yeah. And for me, it's something very, I take very seriously, because as a journalist, like you said, you've been in journalism as well. You cover stories about kids getting duped into certain situations. Online bullying is a major problem. I'm like, I don't want her to grow up and get involved in that yet until she has to. Like, I don't think there's a need to introduce that until we have to. I was just talking with another mom who's a friend of mine, who said that she felt pressure when her kids were about 13 to finally get her kids a phone, because literally everybody had them, but they were with her the whole time up until that point, So it's like, why do they need a cell phone? Well, we let her have access to Bark through Bark online a little bit so we can kind of keep control of it. And I've been enjoying the ease of setup, and we could talk about that a little bit. But I also want to talk about how Bark is empowering parents to take control of their kids' digital journey. And can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Can I?
Do you know anyone who might know?
I live for this question. Gosh, so many ways. So you mentioned the blog. I totally nerd out over a blog as well. In fact, we just posted something today about how the new iOS release has some positive things for families and some not so positive things. Like, for example, uh, there will now be the opportunity for anybody to join FaceTime with your kids, whether they have an Apple device or not, which is like, no, just no. So anyway, we have a great blog, and I'm not going to always take it to a Debbie Downer place. We also have an amazing Facebook group. So if you are on Facebook and you search for Parenting in a Tech World, there's this great group, probably close to 140,000 parents now, which parents like us. We're sharing our stories, our struggles, our wins, helping you learn from our mistakes and asking for advice. And the group is so supportive. Really, really, really appreciate that group. So yeah, Bark blog, Facebook group. We have a book also called Parenting in a Tech World. If you would like to get that, it's on Amazon. We have the Bark-O-Matic, which it's like this crazy harebrained idea that we came up with a few years ago that was like, okay, look, I've got 30 ways that my kid can access the internet in my home. Just tell me what to do. So you go to the Bark-O-Matic, it's barkomatic.com. You tell the Bark-O-Matic what you have. You know, my kid has a PS4, we have Xfinity Wireless, we have iPhones. How do I make it as safe as possible? So that's a fun, free tool, and you know, you don't even have to use Bark to be able to use it. So those are just a few ways that we empower parents. We also give Bark free to any school in the nation. So whether your child's school uses the Google suite of tools or the Microsoft suite of tools, Bark works with both and has been a really, really big impact in the schools across this nation.
Awesome. And we got some other comments coming in here. Let's see. Blooming Brilliant says, my 12-year-old just got Instagram with my moderation. And a man sent her a DM asking her to be a sugar baby. Oh, Lord. I saw it before her, so I reported delete. But my goodness. Yeah, I mean, that's a legitimate, thank you for sharing that. That's a legitimate concern. You know, I have a placeholder for Channing on Instagram. She doesn't have access to it. It's really just for me to, I wanted to reserve her screen name in case someday she wants to use it.
Smart.
But that's really all it is. She doesn't have access to it at all. And because I don't ever really share on it or anything, we don't really get much engagement there. But I have a feeling if we were posting regularly, that would happen. There's some total creepers out there. So one of the things that's great about what Bark does is you can plug in, and I say plug in, but you link your social media accounts, your kids' social media accounts through the Bark app. And what is it, like an algorithm can sort of detect and ping, and it texts parents right away if there's a red flag. Tell me a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, so back to the initial prompt that took us down this path, you know, if you think it's not going to happen to your child, please think again. And I say that just because of the data that we see at Bark. You know, we've escalated over 1,000 online predators to law enforcement. So it's unfortunately very real. That said, we can help with that. And to your point, Bark can detect online, we call it grooming, online predation. You know, the way that predators speak to children is different than the way children speak to children.
Sure.
And our algorithm can detect that, you know, asking for photos, even the language that predators use to try to befriend a child and gain trust with a child. Unfortunately, our algorithms have been able to be trained to become even better at detecting grooming because of the grooming that has taken place on the devices and accounts that our algorithm has connected to.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, listen, like I said, we don't want to scare people and scare parents, but the reality is it's a dangerous world. I mean, there are some dangers out there online for our kids, and we can't be the helicopter parents that hover over them 24/7. Of course, we have to have conversations with them to make them aware of the concerns and safety issues of being online and being on some of these apps. But kids ultimately make their own choices. They are independent people. They make their own decisions. And all we can do is hope that we've equipped them with the knowledge to make the right decisions. And then we have something like Bark that can help in case they don't make the right decision. It's like a good oversight, a good backup plan. And it's not even necessarily about the kids. What if somebody else is bullying them or pressuring them, or, saying, encouraging some kind of self-harm? That is something that's great that Bark does. It's sort of like a wonderful support system for parents. It's a good backup. It's that good, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, if I may jump in with a few analogies, this conversation is very similar to, let's say bikes were brand new, right? Well, people are probably really nervous about them, and they do come with dangers, but we're going to let our kids ride them. We're going to, they're going to fall, they're going to get scraped up, but we're going to teach them the rules, traffic, wear a helmet, etc. It's no different with tech. Tech is incredible. It's powerful. We will eventually let our children use it, at varying stages of their development. And eventually they have to leave the house and be responsible digital natives on their own. So we have to educate them on the very real dangers, just like you would with riding a bike, and be their soft place when bad things happen, because they do. And also good kids make bad choices. I mean, they just do. And that's okay. But how you react to them is critical. If you freak out and take away their access, they're probably never going to come to you again.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
just stay calm, be their place of support, and help them know that you'll navigate no matter what, anything that comes their way, and you'll navigate it together.
Now let's talk about, you mentioned the Facebook group. Let's talk about what are the biggest issues that you see and some of the bigger concerns that people are always talking about in your groups, or even that you've seen through Bark research and all that stuff. What is like the number one concern?
Wow. Well, every week is different. It's, as the kids like to say, it's lit. The group is just, or as, a boomer would say, it's hopping.
It's hopping.
It's hopping. But, the biggest two issues, I'd say, because they're always kind of fighting for first place, are exposure to sexual content. Parents are worried about if that happens and when that happens, and when that happens, what do you do? Whether it's pornography, sexting, a YouTube video that might seem friendly, but it's actually just cartoon characters pretending to do some pretty hardcore things. So it's sexual content as a whole. As children get older, sexting and sextortion, which could turn into cyberbullying, which then leads to the other issue of mental health, whether it's suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, body image disordered eating. It's mental health, and it's sexual content over and over and over again, and at all ages.
You should watch like the VMAs or like any. I watched it, and I'm not like a super I want to say like super conservative kind of gal. I'm like, I live in LA, I'm Hollywood, I feel like I've seen it all. But I even get to the point where I'm like, good grief, I don't know. I guess Madonna did roll around and hump the floor when we were younger. So
right. And then when we were, I'm assuming we're around the same age, but and when we were in our teens and 20s, Madonna and Britney Spears kissed, and that was what just happened?
Yeah, it just it seems like it's a lot of it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, more one-uppy, and I don't know, maybe I'm getting older and I'm like, oh my gosh.
I know. Remember when Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball
was
the big deal?
That was a big deal. Well, I mean, honestly, sometimes you're just there's a part of me that wants to just protect her and just be like, no, you're never leaving the house. But I know that that's not realistic. I know we have to let them fly. We have to let them go out into the world, live their life, make their mistakes. We just have to, like you said, sort of equip them as best we can to make smart decisions and be prepared if they don't. So that's why I'm so grateful that we're having this conversation right now. And I know you said it at the beginning, but would you remind everybody again where they can get a free 7-day trial of Bark if they don't have it already?
Yes, it's super easy. Just go to bark.us. That's the website. go to bark.us. You can sign up for a free 7-day trial. It's like the easiest thing to get started.
Awesome. And I also just wrote about my experience with Bark and my feelings on technology over on Motherhood in Hollywood. I'm going to put a link to that in my bio here. And I'm also going to reshare this conversation on my Instagram and over on YouTube and pretty much just everywhere, so that if you guys missed a part of it or you want to go back and watch it again, you can do that. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me and to talk with everybody and share your wisdom. I know it's getting late for there where you are. It's getting late over there where you are. So thank you again. I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who watched and joined in the conversation. You can continue to do that as well. I know myself and Bark and Titania will also respond to some questions if you guys want to drop those in the comments as well. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. And thank you, Titania. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Just sending you a high five from Atlanta to the West Coast.
Yay, I'll take it.
Okay, bye.
Bye.